Hi, I'm Theo Anist, and I'm going to show you my version of a San Juan worm that lasts just a little bit longer, doesn't fall apart, and with a few little additions I find to work a little bit better. And I tie it first and foremost on a 200R so that the worm rides straight and it doesn't foul around itself, and it just seems to be a stickier hook for me. This is a size 10, and as far as thread, I'm using a 210 UTC. And so I'm going to start my thread here as soon as I get my vise secure. And once I get my vise secure, I'm going to take a strand of purple UV crystal flash, and I'm going to tie that in right up along the side. And advance my thread back towards the bend until I get right to about where the barb would start. Now, as far as colors, the sky's the limit and everybody has their favorite San Juan colors. My go-tos are obviously red. Purple's become a new favorite. I use hot pink, and when I do use hot pink, the only difference would be is that I use a red thread because I like to have an alternating thread color to just create that contrast, which you'll see here in a second. Tan works well, number of different color worms that you can use. So I'm just gonna cut my chenille, and I use a micro chenille. I suppose on a bigger one like a size 6 or even larger you'd want to use a standard, but I generally like this micro chenille. And I cut the chenille about 2.5 times the length of the hook, and I just want to make sure I have it nice and centered up. I will do 2 wraps down there at the back, and then I go 1, 2, 3 wraps, and then I cinch it down. 1, 2, 3, cinch it down, and just keep an eye on those segments, just make sure they're uniform. 1, 2, 3, cinch it down. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Now on this last one, what I'll do is create a little bit of a heart here, and what it also does is just adds a little bit more durability so that the fly doesn't kind of wiggle around once it's finished. So I have 2 anchor bands down in the back as well as 1 in the front. Zoom out here a little bit and get it all. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that piece of crystal flash that I tied in, and for where every space that I put one of those thread bands down, I'm just going to run that crystal flash right over it, and then once I get to the front, I'm just going to cover the entire pink heart there with crystal flash, secure it, and then whip finish, 3-turn whip finish. Bind that down. And the last part, if you don't do this step, this fly will fall apart, especially if you get some teeth in there on that UV crystal flash. So what I'll do is I'll take a clear fly finish from Loon, and I like it, it's got this nice applicator brush, and I'm just going to coat any thread that's exposed. Don't worry about the bands, otherwise it'll kind of funk up the color of that worm, but just want it on the bottom. And then I'll zoom in here. Once that's done, I'm going to hit it with my UV light. And then your final step would be to burn each end of your San Juan. So just make sure it's nice and centered, and that is my San Juan worm.